In debating, the ability to figure out the concepts behind words, all these are intelligences that are important for everybody, not just academics. And by pursuing academic intelligence, we are actually creating the intelligence or enhancing the intelligence needed for everybody. Intelligence, the mental capacity is exactly like the physical capacity. You can enhance your physical capacity by taking care of your nutrition and engaging in physical activities. So if you don't eat properly, if you eat junk food, and if you don't exercise, your physical capacity will be very low. But if you take care of your body, your physical capacity will be very high. And the same thing applies to academic capacities or mental capacities, intelligences. You have to make sure that you have good academic or mental nutrition, and you have to go through a large number of exercises, activities to enhance your mental capacity. Well, if you take a look at the green region at the bottom left, next to it is red. And now you cannot color both as green or both as red, because then the condition is violated. So you have green, and to the right of it, there is red. And so that the one on top of that, there's a blue region. You cannot color that region either as green or as red, because then the condition would be violated. But notice that the region to the left of blue, the red one, red is okay, because that red is not adjacent to the other red, the red on the right. So we have kept the distinctness condition. In that cluster, you need only 3 colors so far: red, green, and blue. Okay, so you could, in principle, color the pink on top of the red with the green. It's perfectly okay, but not blue. So the question would be: does this map require? Can it be done with 3 colors? Do you actually need 4 if it is a minimal number of colors that you need?
Mm-hmm. How many, if we take this pink region and the regions around it, how many colors would we need? So this is pink, and we can see that this, suppose we start with this region, this will have to be a different color. And so will this blue region can't be red or pink, right? This region can be blue, since these two are not adjacent to each other. And by that same principle, this region can be red, right? So we can continue that. We can keep this blue, and this region could also in principle be red, and so on. The number of colors became more than 2. You need at least more than 2 colors for that. But what happens when we extend this line from one edge to the other? How many colors do we need then?
Well, everyone seems to be saying 2. We have like 10 responses.
When you extend it becomes 2. Yeah.
All right, great. And what about this? So again, in the first figure, we had a line only dividing the center section into half. Now we extend the line from one end to the other.
Yep, you've got the responses. You've got responses again, which are unanimous.
Okay. So now let's explore a different kind of example. Now that we've seen these, let's draw a circle and draw lines from the center to the edge of the circle, right? So consider this. Okay. So once again, how many colors? What's the smallest number of colors you need in this map?
Well, you've got again 2. Yeah, this one's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay. What if there was another line here? And so
why don't you scroll down? Yeah.
Okay, we have a bunch of images together first. But let's say that we consider the first image in this set of 3, right? What is the number of colors we would need here to color this circle?
Yeah, very
3?
obvious. Everybody says 3. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, now consider this one. This is divided into 4 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4. What is the number of colors we need here?
Okay. So when you increase the sections, then it looked like the number of colors is reduced. Everybody's saying, except for one person who says 3.
Yeah, the general consensus is 2.
Yeah.
Is 2. Okay. And what about this one? Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections, right? So what's the number of colors we'll need here? The smallest number of colors.
So there's, Ayan had a conjecture, I think, which was that for even 2, for odd 3.
Okay. That's great. So we were actually pushing towards that kind of a statement where for maps created by a circle divided by regions, divided into regions by lines from the center to the edge, if the number of regions is odd, then you will need 3 colors. And if the number of regions is even, then you will need 2 colors, right? That's Ayan's conjecture. Great. So let's sort of wrap up this question by, we leave you with 2 questions, right? Can we know how many colors we will need to color a map before we draw it, just by knowing the number of regions? And say what would be the kinds of things that you do to ensure that you need only 3 colors to color a map, or no more than 3 colors to color a map? So what are the kinds of things you would change in a map, right? Okay, so now that we've played around with this and with different cases in this, I want to ask more a few questions, right? So as I mentioned earlier, there was a mathematician who discovered this, and mathematicians struggled with this, actually played around with this conjecture for like over 100 years before they were able to prove anything, prove it into a theorem. And even that theorem was very controversial. So how is any of this related to mathematics, what we just did?
Yeah, actually, before I go on to that, let me raise this question. We saw that in some maps, the minimal number of colors is 2. In some other maps, the minimal number is 3. So let's call them 2-color maps, 3-color maps, and 4-color maps. The question that mathematicians asked was, what are the characteristics of 2-color maps? Can you define the class of 2-color maps? Can you define the class of 3-color maps? And can you define the class of 4-color maps? But of course, we don't know whether more than 4 is needed or not. So they wanted to prove that you don't need more than 4 colors for any map, whatever it is, whatever the structure. That was pretty hard. That took more than 100 years. And even now, there is some debate when mathematicians themselves are not sure whether the proofs that you need only 4 colors, whether that proof is a valid proof or not. But to go into that, it'll be way too difficult. So this just to give an idea of the kinds of questions that mathematicians ask and the kinds of thinking that they do. This is just a brief flavor of that.
So if we look at the kinds of mathematics that we learn at school, right? We do learn about proofs and we do learn about theorems. But more often than not, the theorem is given to us, the proof is given to us.
Yeah.
So what is special about what we did today?
Well, I hope that those who are watching this thought about these things. Mm-hmm. Mathematics of the kind that we learn in school doesn't require thinking. It requires calculation, high-speed calculation. and memorization of formulae and equations and so on. But to do math, like the way mathematicians do, it requires very careful thinking, clear concepts, and very good reasoning. But these are not part of the school math. If you do that, if you think like a mathematician, if you go through questions of that kind, your intelligence would expand. It's not high-speed calculation.
What I found very interesting is that as we did a lot of these examples, someone actually came up with a conjecture that said for odd numbered sections, you'd need these many colors, and for even numbered, you'd need these many colors. Now, these are the kinds of things that mathematicians start off with, right? These are called conjectures. And what they do is they try to prove these conjectures using reasoning. Or in other words, give a justification for why that conjecture has to be true. And this is the kind of thinking that they engage in to arrive at a conjecture. Right. Okay. So
the proof, I should add that the proof for the two-color theorem is something that first-year undergraduate students can do. I have seen kids doing it. Three-color theorem and four-color theorem, no, I don't think that it is within the grasp of first-year undergraduate students. But two-color theorem is. So I would encourage all of you to work on it. You might take about 2 days or 2 weeks. Doesn't matter. If you really struggle, you might bump into the proof.
5-color definitely is as well. So that you don't need more than 5 colors for any map. That's a pretty straightforward proof.
Okay. So now that we're on the subject of a proof, there were several times when we came up with counterexamples to the claim. So the 4-color theorem says that you need no more than 4 colors to color a map, right? So what is a counterexample, and how can we use it to inch towards a proof or to inch towards a conjecture?
You can leave that as a homework.
Okay.
Because if you ask this question, people struggle with it. They spend the whole night thinking about it. And that's good. Struggling, even without finding an answer, is a good thing for developing intelligence.
Right. So notice that there's another difference here in the way we are talking about mathematics. Our end answers are not what we are concerned with. We are concerned with the process of thinking about those answers, right? And this is the process that mathematicians engage in. So we hope we've given you something to think about, and we hope we've given you a new perspective towards mathematics. I'll now hand over to Rashmi, who will then allow us to segue into a completely different domain and to learn about thinking in that domain. Thank you.
Thanks, Mo and Aditi. That was, this activity has fascinated me for quite some time, and definitely changed the way I thought of math when I first explored it, in a class with Mo. So what I noticed very clearly in this particular session was how you first started with a specific map, and then you suddenly, not suddenly, but you soon started using words like this problem some time ago. That was one of my main takeaways, that we move quite often from very specific cases to general cases. And then also how, you used so many examples to find patterns, and then through that explored what are the constraints that govern how many colors you would need for a certain map. So what is also interesting about this session is something Madhav, pointed out yesterday when we were talking about it, is that the two people who were discussing this were Mo, who is a linguist, and Aditi, who has a academic background in education. So, and they are talking about math, and we have a mathematician among us, Madhav, and he's going to talk about ethics, which we will soon come to. So it just, made me think this morning that, how our academic backgrounds are basically just that, right? They are backgrounds, and there is so much out there that we can explore and, start learning.
Okay, thanks, Rashmi. Aditi, can you scroll down?
Yeah.
Okay, on the page, next page. Okay, cool. Okay, so now we're going to transfer, like move from mathematics to ethics. I want to tell you about this friend of mine. His name is Zeno. He saw this stray cat, and he decided to catch it, and he decided to kill it because he enjoyed doing it. He liked killing. He really wanted to kill the cat, so he decided to kill it. Okay. Is that ethically right? Ethically wrong? Neither. I'm going to launch a poll. This is not Zeno's paradox. Someone's mentioning Zeno's paradox, but this is my friend Zeno.
Hear the word Zeno and you get the answer. This is what they teach you in school.
Yeah. So this is my friend. This is my friend Zeno. Okay. So I'm going to launch a poll, and I want you guys to answer: is it ethically right, ethically wrong, or neither? That Zeno kills cats for fun. Okay. So there are a few neithers, but mainly wrong so far. And so let me put this scenario in here. So, okay. Oops. So Zeno killed a stray cat from amusement. Is it morally wrong to kill cats? And most of you were saying, so it's morally wrong.
Madhav, the poll is still on my screen.
Yeah, the poll is still there. Okay. So we can end the poll. Okay. Then, okay. So what if we change this to Zeno killed a dog for amusement? Would that change your mind? You can write your answer in the chat. Would it change your mind?
Okay,
no.
We're getting no's.
Okay. So Zeno killed a dog for amusement. This is also morally wrong. Okay. What about, and I'm going to launch another poll and ask you, what about if Zeno killed a mosquito for amusement? Okay, this is a lot closer. There are people in right, wrong, and neutral. Okay, so Mo, what can we take from this?
It looks like we have fairly clear judgments in some cases when it comes to things like cat, chimpanzee, dog, elephant, and so on. But when it comes to non-mammals, perhaps, our judgments become divergent.
Okay, so let me actually write down a statement, which is killing animals is morally wrong.
Oh, but then I would ask, how about butterflies? Mosquitoes are also animals. Butterflies are animals.
Yeah. So and for mosquitoes, it's a lot closer, right? So it's this statement. How would we judge whether this statement is a good moral statement or not? So we take examples, right? And so one example is Zeno kills mosquitoes, and for that it was pretty close. What about if, let me start a new one, which is Zeno uses antibiotics to kill mosquitoes. Sorry, to kill bacteria. What am I saying?
Bacteria.
To kill the bacteria in his body. Is that, I'm going to launch the poll, is it ethically right, ethically wrong, or neither? He uses antibiotics to kill bacteria in his body. Okay, so here no one's saying it's ethically wrong, right? Okay. Yeah, so I'm using the word ethically and morally both. I mean the same thing. That's bad on my part. Okay, so this is an ethical axiom. Don't worry if you don't know the word axiom, we'll deal with that. Later. Okay, so killing animals is morally wrong. So let me start with actually a more general ethical axiom. Killing living things is morally wrong. Okay. Then we took the example that it is okay to kill bacteria with antibiotics, right? So that, notice that this contradicts this if we believe that bacteria are living things, right? And I think we do. So that means we reject this axiom and we can replace it with the ethical axiom 2, which is killing animals is morally wrong. Okay. So, okay, and now we had the example of killing mosquitoes. And here there was divergence in people's judgment, right? Some people said it was ethically wrong. Some people said it's ethically right. Some people said it's ethically neutral. I think a lot of that ethically wrong was to do with the amusement bit, right? Killing mosquitoes for amusement. But if we change that to killing mosquitoes just generally, I think that would probably change, right? Okay. Okay. So then, okay, let's put the polls to the side for now. More, let's have a discussion on this. Okay. So what are we trying to do?
Well, I would say we are trying to construct a moral theory from which our judgments can be derived. So if a theory says that killing living organisms is morally wrong, then the conclusion would be that killing bacteria, yeast, etc., plants, all of them would be, that's the conclusion that we draw. And we don't want to accept that conclusion, so we restrict our statement to animals. But even then, there is a contradiction between killing mosquitoes and killing butterflies. So we have to fine-tune our theory just as we do that in the case of scientific theory. Moral theory should be designed in such a way that they match our judgments on particular actions. That's how we construct a moral theory. And then there are conflicts. So killing a mosquito for amusement, everybody would say it's wrong, but killing a mosquito because we are afraid. So I kill a mosquito, when a mosquito lands on me, I suddenly do this. Is that morally wrong? We need to think about these questions very, very carefully. And that's what we are trying to do. How to think very carefully to construct a theory. In the earlier case, we were doing mathematical theory. Now we are doing scientific theory. But the thinking...
More ethical theory, you mean?
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Not scientific.
Not scientific.
Theory, but ethical theory.
Yeah.
But you can extend this to scientific theory as well.
Yeah. Now, so my friend's job is that of a bomber pilot. Okay. He works for some country's Air Force. He's ordered to bomb either village A or B. They're both inhabited by innocent civilians. Village A is has a population of 100, and village B has a population of 10,000. If Zeno disobeys this order, another bomber pilot will be ordered to bomb both villages. Zeno decides to bomb village B. Village A. Zeno bombs village A. So Zeno chooses.
What is interesting is that when we usually make statements which have any ethical value, we get very caught up in the details, and we get overcome by what we consider to be our value system, right? But at the very least, what such an exercise can help us do is to internally reflect and evaluate through data and reasoning what that value system actually states. And when we make ethical actions or actions of ethical value, whether we are always acting according to what that system is predicting logically. And even though this was a session on ethics, the process we were following to me seemed really similar to scientific inquiry. So far we've explored two examples of inquiry, one in mathematics and the other in ethics. So what was my takeaway from this session? All the three conversations we had is that inquiry, critical thinking, and inquiry abilities are not specific to a domain or a subject, and they are what we call transdisciplinary. That is to say that they apply in all domains, whether it is the physical sciences or biological sciences, humanities, economics, mathematics, and even aesthetics.